Real estate headlines the past couple of days have been awesome as usual. We learned that a home is for sale in Beverly Hills for $16 million that Howard Hughes crashed an airplane into. I found out that the state that I live in is not on the list of one of the happiest places to live. It should come as no surprise that the Hawaii luxury real estate market is on fire, and a private island in the Bahamas has just hit the market for the low price of $100 million. In today's video, we are going to dive into all of these great headlines along with a few others. And if you're new around here, just a quick introduction. This is a real estate channel. My name is Scott. I'm a real estate developer myself out of Arizona. So here on my channel, we talk basically anything real estate related that you can imagine. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below if you like this video today, because I'm putting new videos just like this one out every week. So up first is CNBC's headline about Hawaii's luxury real estate market. They say that the market is smashing records and sales have soared 600% in recent months. The highlights of this story are that first, 16 luxury homes have sold in Hawaii per week for basically all of 2021. Deal volume in the state is at a record high of $3.7 billion, which is about 2.5 times the last record that was set out there back in 2017. And the luxury market specifically, which Hawaii identifies as homes priced at $10 million or higher, is seeing some of the most explosive growth. Now I know that my audience is literally all over the world, so just in case anybody is not familiar with Hawaii, let's just talk really quick about where it sits geographically speaking. Hawaii is located way out here in the Pacific Ocean. It's about 2,000 miles from California, straight out into the Pacific, almost halfway between the United States and Japan. You can see there are a total of 8 main islands, and these islands are just loaded with beautiful landscapes, oceanfront experiences, and there's about 10,000 square miles of area out there in total. They say that the real estate market is on fire out there for the same reasons that we've seen it on fire in other parts of America. It's a combination of pent-up demand from the pandemic and due to interest rates still being at all-time lows. One of the lead brokers out there, Matt Beal, referred to the movement in prices in the Hawaii market, just saying it's like a rocket ship, and most other major markets are experiencing the same thing right now. The price point of $10 million or higher is definitely seeing some of the biggest growth, with this $23.5 million mansion in Kauai selling to Carlos Santana, this oceanfront home recently selling for $12.5 million, and this 5,800 square foot estate recently selling for $18 million. The only sad part about this whole story is that the median household income in Hawaii is only about $96,000 per year according to census data, which is pretty high on the list compared to other states in America, but making $96,000 per year is definitely nowhere close to enough to afford multi-million-dollar homes. So the locals may be priced out of the market at this point, but I guess that's just kind of par for the course when you live in a tourist town like Hawaii. Speaking of tourist towns, if you're looking for the exact opposite of a tourist town, this $100 million island is available for sale out in the Bahamas. Forbes reported on this one and introduced the island as Little Pipe Cay in the Exumas, Bahamas. And let's talk about the name really quick. I think Little Pipe Cay is a little bit wordy for my taste. If I owned a private island, I'd probably name it something a little bit easier to remember, like Jeff or Sarah, but whatever, that's just me. Anyways, the listing agent on this one is Fredrick Eklund along with his partner John Gomes. Some of you guys probably know Fredrick from his role in the show $1 Million Listing. I'm a huge fan of the show myself, and I always get a kick out of Fredrick. He's just a super eccentric and crazy personality, and honestly the perfect agent to be selling a private island. The Forbes article goes on to talk about the impact that the pandemic has had on the demand for private islands. I guess the people out there who can afford these islands just really like the idea of owning a piece of real estate where they can take all of their friends and family, where they don't have to deal with a bunch of congestion and other tourists. There are a total of 22 structures on the island, which include 5 cottages. You can see in the photos that the cottages are cozy, but honestly not the most exciting finishes or furnishings in my opinion. They call the style of homes here Bahamian colonial, and of course all of the art and furniture is included in the sale too. These aerial shots of the island show is actually a pretty decent size. They've got a big swimming pool, a helicopter pad, boats, jet skis, a water filtration plant, basically everything you need. This island costs $1.5 million per year just to operate, so fair warning for anybody out there who is an interested buyer. This place has some serious overhead, even if you do decide to cough up the $100 million for the island itself. Next, let's take a wild guess about where the happiest place to live in the US is. The National Association of Realtors reported on this one the other day, stating that health, income, work-life balance, environment, housing, and safety all make for a happy place to live. They ranked all 50 states based on these metrics to come up with which ones were the happiest. Now, if you asked me before I read this article what state in the US was the happiest, I probably would have guessed either a coastal state like Florida, or maybe even a state like Arizona where I live, where the weather is pretty nice most of the year, the people are nice, and the traffic is really light. But I guess I'm a horrible guesser because neither Florida or Arizona made the cut. The happiest state to live in the United States is North Dakota. I'm a bit embarrassed to say that I needed to refresh my memory on even exactly where North Dakota was on the map, let alone what there is to do there. But in case you're like me, North Dakota is basically the most central and northern state in the United States, and Google explains it to be dominated by the Great Plains, and its eastern city of Fargo showcases the Native American and modern art at the Plains Art Museum. Flipping through Google Images, it actually really does look beautiful out there, so I'm sure that's part of the draw. But this article also says that they're at the top of their class for health, education, work-life balance, and income. So there you go. If you're feeling a little bit blue where you live, maybe it's time to think about moving out to North Dakota. Moving on, we've got what I consider my favorite story of the week, and that is this Beverly Hills 5-bedroom home that just hit the market for $16 million, which has an awesome backstory. Howard Hughes crashed his airplane into this house about 75 years ago. Now, before anybody critiques me for thinking that this story is kind of funny and entertaining, this was not the first time that Howard Hughes has crashed one of his airplanes, and he somehow survived the crash, which is just what makes this more of a fun story than a sad story. Anyways, Architectural Digest reported on this one, and talking about the crash, they just say that the pilot, film producer, and businessman lost control of the plane, so it crashed, slicing through the upstairs bedroom of the home, narrowly missing the occupants who happened to be in the room at the time. The plane went on to hit a few trees, and then it made contact with another home in the neighborhood. Obviously, this home has been fixed up quite a bit since the crash, and even though Architectural Digest didn't list the actual address, I did pull up the listing on Redfin. The home has 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and it's got about 6,500 square feet of living space. It's been finished nicely inside with a ton of marble and wood tones throughout the house, and they did one of those cool waterfall islands in the kitchen. The picture from this perspective behind the pool shows the house from a nice angle, and since the story says that Howard flew his plane through an upstairs bedroom, this section here is probably what was right in his flight path. The house is sitting in the heart of Beverly Hills 90210 zip code, but it is priced a little high in my opinion at about $2,500 per square foot. But I bet the owners have some room in the price because looking back at the sales history, they're asking about $10 million more than the $6.2 million price that they paid back in 2013. In other news, an expert team from the New York Design Center polled 40 interior designers across the United States and learned that an estimated 79% of people are going to continue to invest in their homes like crazy post-pandemic. It has been no secret that the pandemic has inspired a lot of Americans to spend more money on their homes and on the furnishings within their homes, and that has been a big contributor to all of the supply and labor shortages that we've experienced over the last 18 months. But going forward, that will continue, and here's what Forbes predicted will be the biggest design trends over the next year. First, people are going to redesign parts of their homes that they maybe neglected a little bit last year. Rooms like utility rooms, laundry rooms, lounge rooms, and pantries. Second, about 26% of homeowners actually want more space, so they will be expanding the footprints of their homes by doing additions. And third, this one kind of came as a surprise to me, but people are actually gravitating away from the open concept look that was popular for so long. It sounds like people are starting to prefer a more defined and compartmentalized style of living, which is hilarious because that was exactly what was popular back through the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And here we are just making a full circle comeback. And the last thing is it is going to become more and more popular to have dedicated office space at home, when in the past, people may not have even had one dedicated office in their house, Going forward, people are looking to have 2 or even 3 dedicated office areas, especially if they have kids. All I've got to say about this is I'm really happy that we remodeled our house before all of these labor and supply shortages started, because anybody who plans to remodel their home anytime soon is for sure going to face it taking probably twice as long as they expected, and realistically costing probably twice as much as they expected to. The final story of the day is about our old friend Leonardo DiCaprio. He dropped $10 million on a 1930s Beverly Hills home after selling his Malibu property for about the same price. This Beverly Hills estate is sitting on a 1/4-acre lot. It's got 5 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms inside, and there's about 5,000 square feet of interior living space. I found a gallery of photos of the house on TMZ's website. I couldn't dig up the actual address on this one. This house is actually really nice inside, especially with all the modern staging, furniture, and all the clean white walls and all the glass. But to me, this is just another example of how crazy the real estate prices are out in Beverly Hills. A house just like this in my area would cost like $2.5 million at best, but as they say, location, location, location. The craziest thing that I learned related to this story about Leonardo DiCaprio that I didn't know before is that he actually owns a ton of real estate. I mean, for a guy who's worth $260 million, that's not a huge surprise. But check out this list from this website called Love Property. The list is so long, we don't even have time to go through all of this together, but he owns this massive compound in LA, this little beach house in Malibu, although this might be the one that he just sold, this 104-acre private island called Blackador Cay off the coast of Belize. He has several apartments in Manhattan, 2 units inside of this tower alone. He's got this other retreat in Palm Springs that has a super cool mid-century modern vibe. Anyways, you guys get the point. This guy collects a ton of houses. Well, that was a loaded week's worth of news, and after all of this, I feel like I need a beach vacation. I need to remodel my house again, and I guess after I remodel my house, I should sell it and move to North Dakota. Never know what headlines we'll be waking up to over the course of the next couple of weeks, but you guys know I'll be keeping my eyes peeled, and I'll make sure to report back here on it whenever something juicy comes out. If you enjoyed the video today, guys, if you can give me a thumbs up down below, that would really help me out a lot. And you guys know the drill. If you've seen my videos in the past, if you're not already a subscriber, click the subscribe button. Only like 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribers, and I'm putting new videos out every week. But that's all I've got for you guys this time. So until next time, see ya.